You've started with determination, only to quit when things got tough. How many times have you set a goal, only to abandon it halfway? How many dreams have faded? Not because you lacked talent, not because you didn't have opportunities, but because you couldn't stay consistent. The truth is, you're not missing skills or luck. You're missing just one thing: the discipline to stay consistent, no matter how you feel, no matter what life throws at you. That's the real difference between those who succeed and those who give up: the ability to show up every single day, even when motivation runs dry. We've all felt that rush when starting something new. It's exciting, it's fresh, everything feels possible. But then the routine kicks in. The energy fades. Life throws distractions, stress, and setbacks at you from all sides. And then you stop. You step back. You tell yourself, I'll come back to it when things calm down, when I have more time, when I feel more motivated. But here's what you need to understand. That perfect moment you're waiting for, it might never come. Life doesn't slow down. It doesn't suddenly get easier. If you keep waiting for the right time, you'll be waiting forever. The only solution is to train your mind to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. Because motivation is just a feeling, and feelings come and go. Consistency, on the other hand, is a choice. It's a habit. It's a mindset. And here's the truth you need to embed deep in your thinking. Consistency beats motivation. Every time. Every day. So don't wait another second. If you're serious about your goals, if you truly want to grow instead of delay, take action now. Comment the number 6 to unlock the next part. We'll tear down laziness, spark discipline, and help you build unshakable consistency, brick by brick, day by day. Don't just listen. Start changing. And that's a fact you need to lock into your mindset if you truly want to reach your highest potential. Motivation is like a spark, bright, exciting, and capable of getting you started. But like any flame, it eventually dies down. What's left after that is either cold ash or a steady burning ember that refuses to go out no matter how strong the wind blows. That steady ember, that's consistency. It's not flashy, but it's dependable. In the end, it's what keeps you going when everyone else gives up. A person's drive fades over time. It's connected to feelings. There will be days when you feel like you can conquer the world and achieve all your dreams. But we all know that doesn't happen very often in the mornings. Just about every morning, you'll find yourself prepared with an excuse. I'm afraid you will feel exhausted and fatigued. Perhaps the sky is overcast. Perhaps you had trouble sleeping. Sometimes, just when you need inspiration the most, it vanishes. Because of it, you shouldn't rely on it. Life doesn't function that way, so you can't sit around hoping for perfection. Distractions, difficulties, and failures are inevitable. Also, if you give in to their pressure, you'll keep stalling out for the perfect moment, which will never arrive. But consistency doesn't care about your emotions. It is unconcerned with your disposition, stress levels, or the state of the weather. Doing this today, regardless of the circumstances, is consistent. Real change takes place there. When you start disciplining yourself rather than waiting for inspiration. Preparation is not the key. It boils down to making up your mind that this is your default behavior. Take a look at the successful individuals in history. Sportsmen, creatives, business people. In what ways are they similar? The drive isn't always there. Being consistent means turning up on a daily basis. They've mastered the art of being consistent. Because of this, they have risen to the top. Like everyone else, they cope with failures. However, they have prepared themselves to persevere, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how awkward it is, while giving up would be the simpler choice. That is the power of being consistent. It creates routines. Additionally, when something is habitual, it operates automatically. Emotions have taken a back seat. Respecting the promise you made to yourself is at the heart of this. Skipping a workout or neglecting a chore no longer seems like a break when consistency becomes an integral part of who you are. Somehow, it tastes like treachery. Why? Because it now defines you. There is a distinction between dreamers and achievers in that regard. The makers make consistency a part of their everyday life. To be honest, however, nothing happens in a single day. Time, energy, and, most importantly, self-control are necessary. Sticking to a plan isn't exciting. It lacks excitement. Staying up late to complete an assignment or waking up early to practice won't get you any awards. And it's okay. Discipline isn't about getting a pat on the back. Regardless matter who is looking, you must do what is necessary. Maintaining a consistent pattern requires self-control. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes, just like any other muscle. It becomes simpler to keep turning up as your presence grows. The ability to just show up is the most underappreciated talent there is. Just by that, you're already miles ahead of the others. Lots of people give up before they even start. Their emotions control what they do. However, you must differentiate yourself. Even if you're not in the mood, you must turn up, for the simple reason that they are the times that matter. At that point, ordinary people become distinguished from extraordinary ones. Inspiring yourself makes it simple to do things. When faced with adversity, however, is it possible? Feeling exhausted? As soon as things get difficult? The true test lies in that. And if you succeed, if you can be reliable no matter what, you'll be able to start constructing something strong. Forward motion. A momentum that propels you forward is born from the cumulative effect of each baby step. Once you get going, you'll be able to power through the tough times. You can't just give up now that you've worked so hard. This keeps you motivated. When you achieve that level of advancement and power, your life is changed forever. On the other hand, consistency is something you must grasp. Just turning up isn't enough. It's all about being present with a purpose. Working long hours is insufficient. Your effort has to be deliberate. Just acting isn't going to cut it. No matter how tedious things become, you must maintain your concentration, enthusiasm, and presence. Being consistent does not entail turning like a robot. Being persistent is key. Progress may be hard to see, but it shouldn't stop you from always pushing forward. That is something else that is easy for us to overlook. Be patient. Consistency doesn't always provide instant gratification. Actually, the reward usually doesn't show up until much later. Imagine it like sowing seeds. The harvest takes time to materialize. Something extraordinary will develop. Nevertheless, if you remain present and care for the soil, watering it and nourishing it, those who are patient enough to see progress eventually succeed. Far too many people give up just before they see any progress. When they perceive no progress from the seeds they sowed, they abandon them. Embrace a different attitude. Realize that maintaining consistency requires dedication over time. The focus here is not on immediate success or financial gain. Repeatedly showing up until you see results is the key. That is why, in every case, consistency triumphs over motivation. Consistency is what keeps the engine going, even when motivation is what starts the voyage. The true difference between dreamers and achievers lies in that aspect. Those who make it to the end aren't the most driven. On days when they felt like giving up, it was these people who persisted. They have established reliable patterns of behavior, and the force of habit formation is such that it carries them through adversity. Now keep this in mind the next time you feel like giving up, when the initial enthusiasm wears off and the drive to continue diminishes. Feelings are irrelevant. It's about being loyal to your word. It's about being able to control your emotions and come up every time, no matter how motivated you are. Because self-control is the engine that propels achievement. We tend to believe that in order to achieve success, we need to do massive, life-changing things. Unless we take such enormous jumps, we're not making any progress, or so we tell ourselves. However, this way of thinking may be quite crippling. Imagine yourself at the foot of a majestic mountain, frozen in place by the sheer magnitude of the climb. As a result, we are hesitant. Our minds wander. We are patient. This isn't the right time, we tell ourselves. Before we've even gotten halfway there, uncertainty and fear start to seep in. You must, nevertheless, cling to the following reality. Huge, dramatic events don't give rise to success. It takes time and little, steady steps to build. The seemingly insignificant actions are the ones that lead to significant and long-lasting transformations. The ideal timing, the big break, the fortunate opportunity, or the outside push seldom comes. In the meantime, people frequently squander time waiting. However, progress is impossible if one spends their lives in anticipation. In reality, big achievements are the result of baby steps. Envision yourself plodding up that mountain, step by step, rather than leaping or racing. No matter how little, every step gets you closer to the peak. On a daily basis, the advancement may not seem to be noticeable. However, the distance you've traveled will astound you when you look back a few months from now. Therein lies the strength of constancy. An all-out sprint won't cut it. Keeping at it day after day, even when it seems like nothing is changing, is what matters. An analogy would be to sow a seed. There will be no development for many days, weeks, or months. Nothing will happen no matter how often you water and care for it. On the other hand, deep roots are emerging and laying the groundwork. The day will come when that breakthrough occurs. In this way, baby steps provide the groundwork for a larger achievement. Remember the people whose achievements you respect. Those individuals did not suddenly find themselves at the pinnacle. Carefully, silently, and repeatedly, they made their ascent to the top. Years of invisible work, failures, sacrifices, and self-discipline were required to keep going. While the public only sees the end product, the accolades, the plaudits, and the limelight. The reality is that you may find those daily steps tedious. They might be annoyingly repetitious. Constantly getting up early, staying up late, or doing the same thing might be boring. However, momentum is created with that repeat. As you take baby steps, you build up a rhythm and eventually a force. Those little things add up to big things, like a snowball hurtling downhill. However, before that momentum can develop, far too many individuals quit up. Quick fixes, immediate satisfaction, and the easy way out are what they want. But the truth is that you need perseverance, patience, and work to achieve something worthwhile. There are no quick cuts to success. The foundation of it is perseverance, the will to go on even when the going gets tough. You must maintain taking little actions regularly if you want to see big outcomes. Once you halt, the forward momentum disappears, and you find yourself again where you started. When your hard work doesn't pay off right away, it's easy to lose motivation. Its value begins to loom large in your mind. However, it is precisely during such times that you must dig deep inside and recall your motivation for starting. It wasn't simplicity that prompted you to go on this quest. To begin, you needed some objective, a picture of the person you aspired to be. Furthermore, sitting on one's hands will not bring that goal to fruition. Anything takes work, slow, steady, purposeful work, to bring anything to life. Embrace the journey, not only the destination. You must come to value the ascent, because it is at that point that true change takes place. In the face of adversity, your true strength emerges. You may show yourself that you can do anything by doing even the smallest of things. And you'll know it wasn't a single giant leap that led to your success when the major breakthroughs materialize, and they will. The path to achievement was built by accumulating everyday efforts, one tiny step at a time. Those actions mold you. They train you to be patient, disciplined, and purposeful in your job. There is no task too minor for you to do if you can maintain consistency. The key to success isn't chance. Being prepared to seize opportunities when they arise is the key. And that getting ready takes place in the dark, in the mundane, in the little things you do when no one is looking. Therefore, such little things shouldn't be disregarded. Keep pushing on, even when things seem to be going at a snail's pace. With each stride, you inch closer to your destination. Progress is made with each stride. You can't get the outcomes you want without first laying the groundwork. Have faith that the destination is there, even if you can't see it quite yet. And going forward is the only way to get there. Forget about trying to pin down the ideal moment. Get moving instead of sitting about and waiting for permission or for the stars to align. Begin immediately. Regardless of how little, do something today. The next day, have another one. Day after that. Keep going. Maintain your progress. Consistently be there. Because in hindsight, you will be able to see how those baby steps blossomed into something really remarkable. Big pushes don't produce big outcomes. They are the result of persistent, dedicated effort. Success isn't only attainable, it's inevitable if you stick with it. It's bound to happen. What will you do when you reach a point when you feel physically and mentally exhausted and want to give up? That barrier is more than just fatigue or anxiety. It stands for everything that has ever stopped you, including your concerns, doubts, and excuses. Things like, "This is too difficult," or "You're not good enough," are whispered by it. We call that resistance, and it is encountered by those who want something significant. Neither chance nor innate skill distinguishes the successful from the unsuccessful. It's being able to keep going even when you hit a wall. Nothing will escape it. In the face of adversity, whether you are striving to realize a lofty goal, complete a challenging assignment, or just keep your head held high, it will be at your side. Through that, too, must one pass. But force isn't necessary to get through. resilience, mental toughness, and the will to keep going are required. Every single thing you've ever been afraid of goes toward making that wall. Can I still try? What if I fall short of expectations? Is it possible they may be correct about me? When you let your doubts pile up, they become immovable obstacles. However, those anxieties, they do not exist. They represent your fears and doubts in a distorted form. And dread, it passes. Although the pain of failure is temporary, the pain of regret is much more persistent. The master of disguise is fear. It lurks under the radar as reason and prudence. It makes you want to stay safe and never attempt anything new. Fear, however, has a singular purpose: to ensure your comfort. As for comfort zones, they are the graveyards of dreams. Progress, transformation, and achievement on a whole. That occurs when you face your fears head-on and press on nonetheless, away from the safety of your usual environment. Second, the justifications. I've had enough of being exhausted. My schedule is too full. Tomorrow I will begin. All of us have done them. To them, it's rational and safe. But they are only fabrications we make up to evade responsibility. With each new justification, the obstacle becomes thicker and tougher to overcome. So, you may be wondering, how can I get over that barrier? Simple, but not easy, is the solution. Be constant. That wall is being chipped away by the hammer. Over and over again, day in and day out. You overcome obstacles every time you show up, no matter how difficult it is. Reliability isn't a glamorous quality. This isn't the real that will shine. It isn't the large, showy wins. You would like to sleep in the mornings. You would like to sleep during the late hours. It's continuing even when no one is applauding or looking, even while nothing seems to be changing. Belief is the foundation of constancy, which is more than simply an effort. You must have faith in your ability to succeed, because the wall will win the match before you even take a swing if you don't. The difficulties you face in the future will be magnified if you go into them with the mindset that they are insurmountable. Your beliefs determine the reality you experience in life, and your thinking is your most powerful asset. You will persevere if you think you can. On the other hand, self-doubt makes you give up easily when faced with challenges. You will have to decide whether to give in to that critical inner voice or fight it when it begins to yell, which it will. Why? Because that voice is just another obstacle. Your self-doubt, fears, and justifications are all attempting to persuade you that giving up is okay. However, you need to make your desire, enthusiasm, and appetite for more apparent. Your own self-control is what's needed to block out the background noise. The wall becomes weaker with each time you push yourself past your limits and show yourself that you can do more. You become more resilient with every success. You begin to realize that the wall isn't as substantial or genuine as you had believed it to be. You chip away at it with every setback you push beyond, every hurdle you conquer. Also, when you look back, you'll see that wall wasn't ever really there. It was only an internal construct of yours. Here we have a test wall. Its purpose is to test your determination to achieve your goal. Its purpose is to test your perseverance in the face of overwhelming internal resistance, such as how far you are ready to go or how long you can bear to suffer. At that moment, the majority of individuals will give up. Their justifications will be accepted. They will allow their worries to triumph. No, you're not going to. You have not departed. You would have already made a U-turn if you were conventional. However, that is not the case for you, and it is a strong beginning in and of itself. Therefore, keep this in mind when you must confront that wall, which you will. It isn't meant to obstruct your path. If you're not prepared to battle for what you want, it will show. And if you are, if you turn up with determination, constancy, and an unwavering resolve, then that wall will crumble under your feet. When faced with dogged persistence, resistance crumbles. The hardship you face and the suffering you experience are only fleeting. This is the cost of progress. The sense of accomplishment and pride that comes with succeeding, nevertheless, lingers. It's worth it because of that. So keep going. Standing firm is key. Stay determined and don't let that roadblock derail your journey. Destroy it. Take this challenge head on and show the world, and yourself, that you can do it. Reason being, the other side has all your desires waiting for you. It is easy to lose sight of the process along the way when we see achievement. The ideal position, the monetary payoff, the public acclaim, and the sense of fulfillment. It is this goal that motivates us to face the day. That's the reason we're here. However, many overlook one important detail. That ultimate product, that prize, is only a tiny fraction of the tale. The trip is where the magic and change take place. Our early experiences teach us to be goal-oriented and to care only about the end outcome, the grade, the award, the chance, the milestone. However, we can never appreciate the process that leads to a goal if we are just concerned with the end result. You are challenged as you go along. Your character is formed there. There you will acquire the knowledge, skills, and fortitude necessary to achieve your full potential. Several times, rather than once. We live in a society that values quick satisfaction above everything else. Please move quickly. Easy solutions, quick fixes, and hacks are what we're after. However, there are no quick cuts to success. You don't just stumble upon greatness. You have to put in the time and effort every day, be consistent, and work for it. The end result may be spectacular, but it is the journey that molds you. Take a look at the end product and picture a fleeting moment. Achieving a goal is an incredible feeling, but the high doesn't last. The events leading up to it are the ones that stick with you. All the time spent getting up early and staying up late, giving your all, facing and overcoming obstacles, and succeeding in the face of defeat are all part of the journey. Because of such, the result is significant. That is the secret to long-term success. Staying strong, even when the goal seems out of reach, is a skill you develop via the process of building resilience and refining your mentality. Who you become when the objective seems miles away is the true measure of your motivation, not how well you do when the finish line is near. At that point, it's all about the process. At that point, you come to trust yourself, to keep turning up and working hard day in and day out, even if you may not see any immediate results. Simply said, the outcome is guaranteed the moment you dedicate yourself to the process. The issue is now when, not if. When they don't see immediate benefits, many individuals lose interest. After a few weeks or months of hard work, people give up since they don't see any results. Since they haven't seen the result yet, they assume something is wrong. However, it is not the way progress is made. It isn't certain to come at a certain time. In other words, it doesn't work when you want it to. Patience is required. This calls for faith in the development. At this point, being consistent will prove to be your best friend. To remain consistent, you must turn up again and time again, even when you see no signs of progress. It requires you to keep going, little by little, even when you can't see what's ahead. Doing the seemingly little things over and over again with purpose, knowing that they all add up to the life you want, is what it's all about. Unglamorous and uninteresting as it may seem, it is the unsung hero of every noteworthy achievement. It's the defining characteristic of dreamers as opposed to idle talkers. Something remarkable occurs when you stop worrying about getting outcomes and start enjoying the journey. Your character develops in ways you could never have imagined. You become more self-controlled, you strengthen your mind, and you establish routines that will serve you well throughout your life. Little victories, not for their own sake, but because they signify progress, start to add up, and you start to revel in them. You start to take pride in just turning up. The journey itself is more important than the destination. You come to understand. You are changed by the trip. You shape your character along the process. That's where your limitations become opportunities for growth. It is in this place that you will discover your willpower, your determination, and your heart's desire. You will be able to do anything once you devote yourself entirely to that process. Not because you're immune to difficulty, but rather because you've grown to like the ascent. The act of working has become meaningful to you. Success becomes an afterthought, not your driving force. The unseen work that goes into getting through each day is what really counts. The process's true beauty lies in that. From the outside, it doesn't seem. Behind closed doors, people do not see the sacrifices you make. They fail to see the time, the obstacles, and the uncertainty. The end product is all that matters to them. However, the truth is known by you. You are well aware that the result is a direct result of your perseverance and the little things you accomplish day by day. What you get by knowing and being aware is much more precious than the outcome. Owning it is an honor, a profound feeling of fulfillment that can never be taken away. Therefore, remember to take a deep breath whenever you feel your impatience rising or your focus shifting from the now to the future. Retract your steps. Keep in mind that the true magic occurs throughout the process. During the process, you transform into the kind of person who can achieve your objective and manage whatever happens after. Not every result is under your control. Any one moment may bring off a chain reaction. Not everything will work out the way you expected. Your level of effort, dedication, and consistency, however, are under your control. Your presence is entirely up to you. The amount of effort you put into the procedure is entirely up to you. And results will follow when you regularly put out your best effort and develop a passion for the daily grind. Perhaps not at the time you anticipate. Perhaps not quite how you had envisioned. Rest certain, however, it is inevitable. Also, you'll be prepared when that time comes. You were ready for it, not because you wished for it. With each decision, sacrifice, and stride, you progressively gained it. The finish line is not the be-all and end-all. Stay motivated by more than just the end result. Strive to be consistent as a habit. Pursue the progress that results from making an effort. What molds you is the journey. That's what makes you stand out. This is the process that shapes you into an individual who can achieve and sustain success. Because the result is taken care of automatically when you give yourself over to the process and submit to the trip. Next, there is the issue of responsibility. A word with the power to sever the background noise. It's understated. No one will cheer for it. It is, nonetheless, crucial. Without it, not even the most uplifting aspirations can come true. My aspirations. Our first reaction is one of elation. We lay forth our objectives. We record them. Step into the destination's shoes. You could even start small. However, obstacles in life arise. There are interruptions. The sluggishness sets in. Justifications begin to murmur softly in our ear. Delays and lost opportunities engulf the once burning enthusiasm before we realize it. Why? Simply said, it's far simpler to slip up when no one is looking. Saying, "I'll do it tomorrow" is simple. If you miss today, you could think it won't make a difference. Actually, however, this is the reality. It is significant. Time is of the essence. Each second lays a foundational stone for your future. Skipping today becomes a trend. A single day becomes two. After 1 week, the next month, suddenly, you find yourself right back where you were. It is not that you are unable. Rather, it is that you failed to live up to the expectations you placed upon yourself. Accountability serves that purpose. It's the unseen power that, even when no one is looking, keeps you focused on your objectives. When no one is watching, it's what makes you take action. This is what differentiates short-term endeavors from sustained dedication. Such struggles inside are common to all of us. Hit the snooze button or get up early. Do your best while feeling exhausted, or just relax. Put it off till tomorrow or get it done now. Taking the easy way out may go unnoticed by others, but it will be noticed by you. And it is the most important thing. Responsibility for your actions begins with you. Whatever commitments you make to yourself, you must keep. Achieving your goals requires prioritizing your aspirations above practical considerations. Your aspirations have more value than the justifications you provide. Being really honest with oneself is not easy, for the simple reason that taking responsibility requires you to face yourself in the mirror and admit that you control your own destiny. Owning your journey is something you're compelled to do. Plus, not everyone is game to do that. Nothing can stop you from succeeding if you are willing to be responsible for your actions every single day, no matter how difficult, how silent, or how few people are cheering you on. Reason being, you're not only aiming for objectives any longer. It seems like you're maturing into an eternal learner. To me, it exemplifies success more than any other outcome. It's easy to blame external factors, like life's obstacles or the chances being against you, when things don't work out the way you expected. In your heart, however, you know the reality. The responsibility is with you. You are the only one responsible for your actions, routines, and self-control. There is no one else to hold you accountable when you fail, neglect, or put things off. And the truth, as unpleasant as it is the type of honesty that is necessary for consistency. If you want to finally achieve your goals in life, you must do this. The first step in holding oneself responsible is to establish unyielding standards. Neither are these nebulous desires or aspirations. They can't be changed. Your self-imposed, unwavering standards, which are not subject to change based on your circumstances or emotions. No matter how little, your standard should be to rise at a set hour every day, do all of your tasks, and accomplish all of your goals. No justifications, no justifications. No matter how tired you are, how hectic the day was, or how difficult things were, it will not matter. Your benchmark is unwavering. You adhere to it like a map or a set of instructions, even when no one is looking. Jotting down your objectives is a simple but effective technique to keep oneself responsible. By committing your thoughts and feelings on paper, you transform your intentions into concrete promises. With a written objective in hand, it becomes more than simply an idea. It turns into an apparent guarantee, one that turns its head to meet yours and begs you to do something. Put them where you'll constantly be reminded of them. Display them prominently on your refrigerator, phone's lock screen, notepad, or anywhere else you choose. Hold on to your objectives. They are the reason you began. On days when you feel like putting in less effort, let them motivate you. For the simple reason that when you can no longer see your objectives, they will inevitably fade from your thoughts and, ultimately, your actions. However, when you keep them close by and think about them often, they come to life. All of a sudden, they're here, pressing, and genuine. However, keeping track of things doesn't conclude with writing them down. And that is just the start. You have to take action. Your circle of friends determines your level of success. Some individuals in your life will help you progress, while others will hold you back. In order to stay on track, you need supportive individuals who will push you when you're down and refuse to accept excuses. People like these don't criticize just because they can. Your development is important to them. Their goal is for you to succeed. Plus, they aren't afraid to bring up sensitive topics in order to keep you focused on your goals. Whenever we start to lag behind, we're all human. At times, we'd all rather just disappear. Having supportive individuals at your side, nevertheless, helps rekindle the flames when they begin to fade. The setting you choose is significant. Your outlook on life may be influenced by the people around you. If you're often around mediocre people who find reasons not to push themselves, then you might as well adopt that attitude. You can't help but raise your own standards when you're in the company of self-reliant, ambitious individuals. People whose lives are meaningful and whose presence motivates you to level up are the ones you should surround yourself with. Plus, here's where it really shines. There should be reciprocal accountability. The importance of keeping your promise extends beyond those around you. It's as important that you be there for them. An additional burden of obligation is placed on you when the presence of another individual is dependent on you. On occasion, it is the impetus you need. Internal responsibility remains the most critical. It is the sort that takes place without sound. Those moments when you finish your day by standing in front of your reflection and asking yourself the tough question: have I completed today's tasks as promised? Was my effort maximal? Have I been consistent? Plus, you won't try to justify a no when asked, since that day will come. You don't try to disguise or explain it. It is all yours. You own up to your mistakes and choose what needs fixing tomorrow. High achievers are distinguished from others who only speak about their desires because of this uncommon but crucial quality: honesty. No amount of self-deception will lead to personal development. You can never achieve your full potential if you try to hide your mistakes. Something changes, however, if you begin to hold yourself really responsible. You learn to have faith in who you are. You begin to believe that you will really do what you claim you will do. That conviction, it's powerful. Convergence is achieved. It boosts your self-assurance. And when you believe it, you transform into someone who does more than simply make plans. You become into someone who hoards them. Transparency fosters dignity. It sends a message to everyone, but especially to yourself, that what you say matters. Knowing the weight of your commitments. Honesty is that. And honesty, above all else, is the key that unlocks the door to fulfillment. It's challenging. It calls for perseverance, determination, and reliability. Although it's worthwhile, because nobody can take credit for your achievements but yourself when the dust settles. And the first step is to improve yourself daily by challenging yourself to do better. Allow me to broach a subject that far too many people avoid: not succeeding. We learn to be afraid of it. Keeping away from it is essential. We should take that as a sign that we're defective. And yet, the reality? You should not be afraid of failing. It's not an enormous barrier put up to prevent you. A certain amount of failure is inherent in any endeavor. In other words, if you're open to learning, it may be a fantastic teacher. Let me tell you the truth. Nothing good will ever come out of a mindset that constantly gives up the moment things don't go your way. If you give up because of a setback, you miss out on the valuable lesson that may have been learned. When you refuse to face and overcome adversity, you lose out on the learning, development, and breakthrough that always follow. This is due to the fact that failure does not equate to success. It's a stretch of the same path. It's a significant milestone on the road to realizing your own potential. Failing challenges you. Does this really appeal to you? When things go wrong, will you be able to pick yourself up and try again? When you start to feel like you're slipping behind, are you going to be consistent? If you can answer yes and keep going even when it hurts, make errors, and fall down, then setbacks become motivation. After that, everything else you do will be based on that. So, overcome your fear of failing. Put an end to using it as an excuse to give up. You need to start seeing things as they really are. Critical assessment. Growth. A breakthrough cloaked in a failure. You become unbeatable when you combine setbacks with responsibility and reliability. Why? Because you keep going strong no matter how tough things become. No retreat is acceptable. You continue to rise. And it is the kind of thinking that propels people to excel. Failing is a part of being an expert, a master, or somebody you look up to. They have failed, questioned their own abilities, and wondered whether they were making the correct decisions. What is most important? They got up quickly. Despite setbacks, they refuse to let them limit their potential. They choose to accept and even welcome such setbacks as opportunities to grow and move ahead. Okay, I get it. It's easier said than done. The pain of failure is multifaceted. It pains greatly. It has the power to undermine your self-assurance, disorient you, and cause you to question your every move. Oh, that's suffering? Yes, it is. What about that annoyance? It holds water. However, your resilience to get back up is as well. The ability to not just survive but thrive in the face of adversity is equally important. We seem to overlook this point much too often. You can still succeed. No, it won't stop unless you tell it to. Unless you choose to ignore it. You are not a failure just because you fail at anything. It only indicates that you tried something and it didn't work. A course that has to be tweaked. No matter how hard you try, there will be moments when you fall short. However, failure becomes permanent only when you give up. But then you get to choose. Will you let that setback to dictate your path, or will you turn it into motivation to keep going? That is the true inquiry. Whether you fall is less important than how you react to it. Do you want to let yourself be paralyzed by disappointment, or use it to grow? Are you going to give up, or will you use this challenge to get stronger? For those who are prepared to see failure as a tool rather than a punishment, it may be an indisputable source of power. We avoid attempting new things too often because we are afraid of failing. Worrying that we will mess up prevents us from taking risks, which in turn prevents us from developing. But setbacks reflect reality. It shows us our weaknesses, the areas we need to strengthen, and the things that may need some improvement. You will emerge from setbacks more fortified, ready, and motivated than when you started. All it takes is the ability to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and go on. Patience when confronted with setbacks. That is the defining characteristic of successful individuals as opposed to those who only speak the talk. When things are going well, it's simple to maintain motivation. What, however, if everything seems to be crumbling around you? When all other options have been exhausted and no outcome has materialized, what do you do then? In such times, you are defined. You will be put to the test of your dedication and potential for advancement in that area. There is nothing you cannot do if you are able to maintain your commitment in the face of such overwhelming odds. If you persist in turning up even when you doubt yourself and the result is uncertain. The finish is not at the foot of the mountain when you fail. That's a side trip. Detours may divert your course from what you had intended, yet they often lead to unexpected gems. Reflect upon your life's events. When things didn't work out the way you had hoped, how often did they end up better than you could have imagined? That's just a cloak for failure on the job. Right now, the thought of failing is too much to bear. However, when you gain perspective and time, you'll frequently realize that it was really preparing you for something far bigger. Embracing setbacks as part of who you are is a major error in judgment. However, you are not your errors. Your mistakes do not define you. The one who gets back up is you. That person who keeps going even when things become tough. Herein is your strength. You can't have success without it. Continuity, perseverance, and most importantly, resilience. Consider the pioneers, artists, and thinkers who have inspired you. Can you honestly say that they reached their current level of success without ever tripping? The quantity. Regret was their fate. They were turned down. They had self-doubts. However, they refrained from quitting. They refused to allow the obstacle to conclude their tale. They constructed their future from those setbacks. Whenever they were knocked down, they always climbed back up more stronger, smarter, and more determined than before. In the end, it's that matters. You can learn from every setback and improve your strategy by embracing failure as an opportunity to adapt. Staying in the game is the only way to acquire that chance. However, give up at the first setback, you'll never know what else you're capable of. Let failure be a stepping stone, not an endpoint. You can turn each setback into a stepping stone to a better recovery if you can maintain consistency in showing up, learning, and modifying. That is the true strength of setbacks. No need to be afraid of it. We should welcome it. It educates you. Doing so fortifies you. It lays the groundwork for the next giant leap. Do not flee when the time comes. Stand tall. Deal with it. Make use of it. Allow it to shape you into a stronger, more determined, and unbreakable person. Failure, when seen in the proper context, is not an adversary. Consider it an ally. That's how you get to the finish line. Near it, not far away. What matters most is how you handle the situation. The difference between mediocre and great is maintaining consistency even when faced with failure. If you're making steady progress and things are running well, you'll find it simple to keep going. Maintaining presence when everything seems to be crumbling requires a particular kind of resilience. There you develop your character. There you will start your legacy. If you can keep going when things are tough, when progress is sluggish, and when the future seems cloudy, you'll be able to recognize how each obstacle served as a stepping stone to success. With each setback, you advanced closer to your ultimate goal. You were able to get closer to excellence with each slip-up. Avoid writing your story's last chapter the next time you fall. This should serve as the tipping point. May it serve as the catalyst that unleashes your full potential. Keep going. Never give up. Maintain your faith. You never know when the turning point in your life will be waiting for you on the other side of that crushing defeat. Never lose sight of the fact that constancy is the key that unlocks the door to your dreams. That's the magic wand that turns your ideas into tangible things. The downside is that it's not cheap. It calls for self-control. Doing so calls for an unwavering conviction that your creation is worthwhile. Consistency should be your own benchmark going forward. Determine that you will continue to show up regardless of the outcome. Doing the task will not deter you, no matter how difficult or unpleasant it may be, because nobody ever gets where they're going by taking the easiest route. Whoever refuses to give up gets it. Do not waver. Remain dedicated. An accomplishment of yours is approaching.